The media has an agenda just like they've always had one. Now they have one more so than they ever had before. When it comes to LeBron James and Kobe Bryant, I think right now that LeBron James is the best player in the league. Historically, Kobe Bryant is a better player. If Kobe Bryant scores, like finishes his career with 35,000 points or something like that, I would have a hard time, as I thought about it, I would have a hard time not putting him in my top 10. Just because of him amassing that point total. He had a huge head start. But if you're talking about as an NBA player, I probably would have to put him in my top 10. It would still probably be like in my bottom, like the lower part, but you can't deny what he's done on the court. But I know one thing, I've been watching basketball since 1990, and I know what I've seen. And, some people like to say that I go off of statistics or stuff like that. I look at stats to get a clearer sense of certain things. Like, I'm gonna give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about. I remember when I was first starting to watch basketball, right? And people used to talk about Michael Adams. Michael Adams, he had passed, I think it might have been Larry Bird at the time, all-time three-pointers made, like 1990, 91, something like that. And they were talking about, the media was talking about how he was the new three-point king and all that. But a couple years later, I used to look at the almanac. I used to look at his Michael Adams statistics. I used to look at his shooting percentage. And at that time, I used to look at like a guy like Larry Bird and Michael Adams. I used to look at Larry Bird, and he was shooting for his career 37.6%. I look at a guy like Michael Adams. At that time, he was shooting 34% for his career, but by the time he retired, he was down to 33%, and like a low 33%. I was saying to myself, well, he's not really accurate. Now, I understand, that he was a shorter guy, 5'10", but hell, look at Dana Barros. Dana Barros was the same height, and he was a much better three-point shooter than Michael Adams. Michael Adams is what you would call a volume three-point shooter, like an Antoine Walker. You know what I'm saying? He's a guy that would take 6, 7 of them, make 2 or 3, or 2, and Bird will take 1, 2, 3, and make 1. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just use common sense when I'm looking at players and looking at statistics. But anyway, Kobe Bryant has a winning legacy. 5 championships. He's a champion. Can't change that. But, if he gets a pass or not, well, I don't see why he would get. Yeah, he would get more of a pass, but not to the extent that he gets by the media. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember Michael Jordan, his last year with the Bulls. He was a 5-time champion at that time. Hadn't won his 6th yet. And I remember the media really getting on Michael more so than I remember about his shooting. I remember when he was shooting 37% from the field, 40%, 42%, and he was having a lot of these shooting games that we weren't used to seeing, like 10 for 32. I remember a game when he went 12 for 39 against the Spurs that year. He had like a lot of 9 for 28 games. And I remember the media criticizing him for that. And what I remember was certain games where Michael was having, I remember him slowly bringing up his field goal percentage by changing around like his shot selection. He stopped taking three-pointers. He started going more toward his post game, started going more to the line, started going more inside, even though he was 34, 35 years old. That was the most I remember seeing him take it to the basket since he came back in 95. And, he listened to his critics, but sometimes the media does Kobe a disservice by not criticizing him. Sometimes there needs to be criticism for a player to correct his wrongs. And right now, with the Lakers, they're not going to win a championship the way that they're playing. They're not even going to go really, I don't even know if they'll really get out of it. They'll be lucky to get out of the first round playing the way they're playing. Now, it could be, that the Lakers will change up their style during the playoffs and focus more on Bynum. Gasol has I don't know about Gasol, man. Gasol, whatever, but Bynum really does need to be more of a focal point of that offense. Same thing needs to happen with this team that happened with, I remember the Lakers reading about in 87, where that team started relying more on Magic Johnson as the focal point of offense rather than Kareem. And this team is not nearly that team, but the way they're playing, it looks good. It's fun to watch Kobe take all these shots, but this is not going to work. It's not. And I just think fair is fair, man. If you're going to criticize LeBron for having a bad shooting night once every week and a half, and then Kobe can have 2-3 straight bad shooting games and nothing said. As a matter of fact, I remember, hearing analysts say stupid shit like, other players need to assert themselves in the offense more. How are they going to assert themselves if they got to get the ball from the perimeter? Everybody watches basketball. The point guard or the shooting guard bring the ball up, and then the post guys are in the post try to set themselves in the post, and then they're supposed to, the shooting guards or point guards or whatever are supposed to try to dump it to them in the post. How are they going to assert themselves if they don't ever touch the damn ball? They just say stupid shit like that. And, fair is fair, man. And that talking about he getting the pass, because he's winning. Yeah. But I remember the media criticizing Michael Jordan too. I remember even in Jordan's prime, he got severely criticized for a game against the Knicks in the playoffs when he was I believe he shot something like 3 of 15 or something like that. And Kobe can have bad shooting games in the playoffs, and he will not get criticized. They might say, Kobe had a rare shooting night. Rare what? What you mean rare? The majority of his games are under 50%. What are you watching? Last time Kobe held up a championship trophy, he was 6 for 24. I remember the first year they won a championship. The game that he held up his first championship, he was 8 for 27. I mean, the guys had a lot of bad shooting games, man. A lot of them. And if it was not for those post players, Shaq, Gasol, Andrew Bynum, those teams would have never won any championships. Never. And that's the truth.